Islamic Dad here. I'm gonna title this video spoilers. Thought I'd just skip past all the analysis, all the recounting of the individual instances, the different character traits, behaviors. Skip them all and go right to the end. And the reason that I decided to make this video now is because I just finished my video on narcissistic fog, and kind of being within that fog during the narcissistic relationship, leaving the relationship, and then having that fog slowly dissipate and finally getting some clarity into things like, what happened? What was that? What was I doing? Why didn't I do this? And, skipping even past that to the very end, I just wanted to share that with you. Because I know that for me, coming out of the fog, I had a lot of questions that really plagued me. I just could not understand, how could someone do these things to me, or to anyone for that matter? How could someone do this? How could someone look you dead in the eye and say sincerely, I love you? How could they make promises and then break them? How could they make commitments and not follow through? How could they say they wanted to work things out, that they wanted things to continue to move forward, for things to be good, and actively sabotage things? Again, to a normal person, none of that makes any sense. It's just completely incongruent. And being in the narcissistic relationship at the time is very, very confusing. And even coming out of the relationship is very confusing. So I'll just, skip to the last page of the book. Open it up, read it. The reason that they could say they love you with sincerity, straight to your face, and do those things is because they did not love you. They were lying. The reason that they could do all those things was because they were lying. Just stop and think for a second. If you love somebody, you know what you would do for that person. You know what that feels like. And it is a very basic, part of human nature to understand what that feels like and expect it on the other end when someone sincerely says, I love you. And that is the part that's so difficult. And one of the things that was so confusing, while in the fog, and then, coming out of the fog, you kind of see the answer, and you even then you don't want to believe it, but it's the sad truth. Why did the narcissist do those things? Because they wanted to. That is the truth. They did those things simply because they made a decision to do those things. Given all the options in any given situation, at any given point in time, those are the decisions that they chose to make. that is the part that's so maddening for people that aren't narcissists, because our brains don't work that way. I mean, for most people, if we were to say, oh, I love you, and then do something incredibly harmful or selfish or negative towards that person, we couldn't look ourselves in the mirror. We would, we'd have trouble sleeping at night. It would, depending on what it was, it might even make us sick to our stomach, because we would say, my God, I just lied to this person's face. I told them, that I love them. I made this promise that I was going to do this thing. I made this commitment. I agreed with them. And then I did the exact opposite. And that's the thing. Normal people can't operate in the world that way. Narcissists, that is how they operate in the world. And the scary thing about, this is a bit of a tangent, but this is one of the things that's like really freaky about dealing with narcissists, and something that, people talk about narcissism, and they throw that term around. For the few people that have actually dealt with a real narcissist, it almost gives you goosebumps on some of the things that they do and are capable of doing. One of them is they lie with sincerity. They will stare you directly in the eyes and tell you a complete fabrication. I mean, to the point that, and this is the freaky part, like if you had them hooked up to a lie detector, they would pass. I've talked to some, psychiatrists or psychologists, I guess, about that issue, and they said, yeah, because the narcissist believes their own lies. That's another thing that's like so crazy about this whole issue dealing with narcissists, is that while they're living duplicitously to where they have the things they say and then the things that they do, which are usually complete, opposites, in some like weird way that doesn't make sense to non-narcissists, they believe their lies. Like if you went to the vast majority of narcissists, and again, like give them a lie detector test and said, are you a good person? Yeah. Are you an ethical person? Yes. Or do you have a high sense of morality? Yes. Like they would pass with flying colors. And then they would turn around, leave the office where they're taking the lie detector test, and do something just horrible. Just something horrible, negative, and harmful to people in their lives. And again, like, one of the things that's so difficult with kind of getting a handle on the issue is that narcissists do not think like human beings. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They do not think like the rest of humanity. They invent this facade, or the mask, as you will often read about with like narcissism. And this is where it gets even crazier. So they'll invent this mask to hide their insecure, inadequate self. They believe their mask, on some level, they believe the mask is their real self. And so that's one of the reasons when they will say these things to your face without blinking, is because in their mind, they believe their lies. So, circling back, I mean, that's just, skipping to the last page of the book. The reason the narcissists do those things, because they want to. period. That's why they did it, because that is what they wanted to do. And how could they do those things when they made those promises, made those commitments, told you that they loved you, and even maybe had like the love bombing previous to that betrayal. And the reason they did those things is because they lied. People that love you do not do those things. And it's bizarre that like that has to be said aloud. People that love, their actions and their words are in complete alignment. And I mean, I think that's when, if there was such a thing as like a narcissist detector, that would be one of the main tests to use with a narcissist. Is that with a narcissist, they will promise and commit and tell you all these things to your face. Their actions are going to be at a 90-degree angle to that. And again, it's strange. I don't know why they live that way or operate that way, other than that's just simply the way they are. Why is water wet? Why is fire hot? It just is. And that's why narcissists lie. It's because they're narcissists. So, I'll continue making videos on other, issues, traits, behaviors related to narcissism. But I thought this would be a good one to do right now, just kind of, right after doing the one on narcissistic fog.